It's time for a special program called The 11th Hour, featuring Hughes, Deputy Director of the Washington County Board of Behavioral Health. This weekly program will shed light on important issues in our area and the positive steps we're taking to combat them.
Good morning, WMOA. This is Hughes, and you are listening to the 11th Hour, your local radio station, and I'm talking to you from the Behavioral Health Board here in Washington County. Critical matters, critical times, and making the community come together and aware so that we can all work together. So, in the spirit of that, today's guests, I have Amy Smith and Amber Sanders. Amy is the COO and founder of the Land of Goshen, and they are currently running the new center, Brandi's Legacy, here on Lancaster Street in Marietta. And Amber Sanders is the Director of Business Services for the Land of Goshen. Well, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And we are actually taping this off-site today. We are taping this from Brandi's Legacy. And I've got to tell you, I attended the open house a couple weeks ago, and wow, so impressed with the welcoming, open, and nurturing environment. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here. The community has been so receptive. We're so excited to have this location.
So how long have you been operational? I know you had the open house a couple weeks ago, but how long have you been accepting clients?
Since July the 22nd, we accepted our first female, and since then we are now at 7 with 3 admissions coming today. So we are excited.
Wow, so things are happening. So talk to me a little bit about the mission of the Land of Goshen and why you chose to come here to Marietta.
Well, we originally opened the Land of Goshen in Ironton, Ohio, and it was to bring about a holistic approach to substance abuse. We were concerned with treating the mind, the body, and spirit of our community, and that's where we felt like true restoration occurs. We call it more than just abstinence; it's restoration for us, because we feel that restoration is actually, or abstinence rather, is just the first portion of recovery. Once you remain drug-free, then you reconcile your mind, body, and your spirit. And at that point, you can be truly restored. So we had a desire for our community to not only be drug-free, but for individuals to experience freedom. So we were operating in Ironton, and I kept hearing the name Tim Kraft. Was told for over a year that I was to meet with him, and I attended a service that Tim was at, and he gave his testimony. At the conclusion of that, we met together, and he brought us to this Mid-Ohio Valley, and it seems like just step by step, it was almost a divine orchestration of us being here. Brandi's Legacy is the legacy of Tim's sister, Brandi, who did pass away several years ago from a drug addiction, an overdose. But we are seeing the goodness arise from that. So, as always, we're seeing that beauty from ashes philosophy. After we went to Ironton, God originally has led us to Malta, Ohio, to a wonderful center with Pastor Jamie White, who supplied the building, and his wife Patty. And we had developed a 16-bed men's unit. We took the same approach. We integrated the community, the education piece, the mental health piece, and we began to see the statistics go higher with, true freedom and restoration. And so then we began to have a new target approach, and that is with the women here in Marietta. And we have a particular fondness for pregnant women or new mothers. So we're kind of venturing into a land we have not.
Well, and that's a huge gap in our continuum of care. Formerly women would have to leave the county and go far away. And when their babies were born, to be separated, that because I think that motherly bond can certainly be very important, not just for the baby, but also for the woman who wants that restoration that you refer to.
Oh, absolutely. We feel like when a woman gives birth, that's the most opportune time. If you have a mother completely uninterested in that child at that point in time, I would say that odds are decreased for that recovery point at that moment. But if you can get the heart of that mother And then we offer that structure. We have met with Child Protective Services and actually have discussed almost like a neonatal like safety unit, not so much the unit that we originally hoped to do in the future, which is the neonatal abstinence syndrome program, but just an environment where we can bring the infant here. We've talked about even having some of our staff make it a foster facility. We have big dreams to where we can be a part of the integral treatment plan to say, because right now CPS does their weekly visits and their time constraints because of their massive caseload, and here they will have the ability to work with a team of professionals, and a mother is assigned, a house mother is assigned to that mother 24 hours a day.
Is this someone in recovery herself, or peer recovery?
No,
okay.
Actually not.
Okay.
We have half of our staff is either peer recovery or they sustained recovery themselves, but some are actually just mothers of children who had drug and alcohol issues.
Okay.
We even have a pastor on staff that acts as far as that paternal role. But the way that we see that is they get their care, their drug and alcohol counseling, which does not change. But at the same token, they can have the heart of who they are with them with a safe monitoring system that will say, whether that mother is participating in the parenting of that child. And then at the conclusion, even 90 days, if you've had someone 24 hours a day stay with you, it's a good foundation for whether or not, that reintegration back into the home is something that they could work towards. So just a vote in the measure.
So in terms of the services, they're working with a case manager and a counselor while they're here, and doing individual as well as group therapy.
Help Me Grow is coming in to support that with their therapies. We have met with them on the open house day. This is going to be kind of a collaborative situation, because we know that it takes an army. Land of Goshen is not the only persons that can. They need everything from vocational training, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just utilize what we have already been given in our community and strengthen that together. We can make that difference that we would like to make.
So since you've been operational in other counties, and I know you're new here, but have you discovered any similarities or any differences in terms of the work that you're doing here in Washington County compared to the work in Malta? Or
I think our first programs were truly building blocks. That is actually where we determined most recently in the last year when we did our statistics, the importance of reaching a mother that was pregnant or had just had a baby. Because here's what we found. We were able to provide the structure and the home environment. All of our programs are very home-like. There's not a lot of sterility to those. We like the eating at the supper table. We like the praying at the table. We like
that community kind of environment.
We love this community aspect. So what we found, though, that presented the most challenge is once they left us and they went home, when they went back into their own environments, there was so much more of a need than just outpatient. There was the need for transitional care. There was the need for involvement and strong, support groups and community mentors is a big thing. I think we always think about, AA sponsorship, but so many of our clients need just individuals in the community that may have not ever had a drug and alcohol program.
Just to mentor
them.
Yeah.
Not everything should be conditioned around the fact that you've had an addiction any more than we would want something, conditioned after one of our struggles. Because humanity alone has those issues. We're not immune.
No, that's very true. So in the work that you both do, what do you find to be kind of the most challenging, and what do you find to be the most rewarding?
I would have to say the most rewarding for me is that at all facilities, whether it be here, Malta, or the Ironton facility where we started, giving people love that they've never received. That's one of the biggest comments that we always get. Like, wow, I've received love. I've never had love. Wow, you all care about me, like truly care about me. Nobody cares if I've lived or died. So when Amy talks about the home-like environment, I think that is a big part of it. A lot of these people, their parents have been in addiction too, and so it's generational. So they don't know what a home is supposed to feel like, what mom and dad's love feels like, or to have that sisterly or brotherly argument or bluntness about just being straightforward. And they get that with each other in the treatment as well as with the staff.
So in terms of challenges, I know you referenced, some of the barriers that people face: housing, transportation, Child Protective Services can be a pro and a con depending on how you look at it, I suppose. So what are some of the other challenges that maybe your agency faces?
Obviously, reimbursement and insurances. Them dictating our care is very frustrating. So that's a huge issue, just being able to continue to operate. Some individuals don't realize the cost of the program. There's a misnomer out there that it's a successful business, because if you're doing the business right, you're pouring in for more people to experience freedom. So that is one of the first things. The second thing that I would have to say is still the stigma. As much as we work towards all the acclamation of that addiction is just one of many problems that we face. The problem is everybody wants to wear the T-shirt, drug free, but when it comes to their neighborhood, there is a stigma, and what they don't realize is that in their neighborhood, behind the closed doors, it exists, but
there's a lot of denial.
There's a lot of denial. There's a lot of denial. And so one of the things and challenges is when we have someone coming out of a new life, it drives me insane to see them to be boxed in because they can't maybe receive the chances. There are felonies. Drug abuse is notorious for committing misdemeanor and even felony crimes.
Right, and then trying to find a job as you're starting.
So I tell a young man, for instance, who has had 3 children, and I tell him, now, I don't want you selling drugs anymore. Now, you're going to commit to me. Well, yes, Miss Amy, I'll commit to you. I'm not going to go back to that lifestyle. Now, he can't read because his father sold drugs, and he ended up dropping out of school to carry on the family tradition. And so in the process of getting him acclimated into his own learning environment and GED and getting that support that we need, he's still, while he's attending the GED, we want to encourage him to be a productive citizen. So the next move is, well, we're going to get a job. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a felony. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a felony. So I've seen them sit so frustrated saying, I want to be that new creation.
Right. And yet there's that label.
Right, but there's this label that goes with them. No. So what we have found, though, that we are really excited about is we are petitioning business owners who do have the heart to come forward and say, you know what, I'm willing, even if it's taking out trash, I'm willing to join together with you and take a chance on this person. And see, and as they progress according to their duties, maybe other businesses that have a little bit more, strength can then come along and take that referral, and then they can have the productive lives that we have. And I think that we're seeing some of that. We're seeing some law enforcement that are. That can be a challenge because they have law enforcement has very much frustrations. It's a dangerous world out there. We have much respect.
That's very true. Yeah.
Very much respect to what our police officers have to deal with and the frustration and the crime. I mean, they do produce victims when they are, doing some of these things. But I've also seen the difference in when someone really does have an internal change and law enforcement looks in on them and just makes that simple comment, wow.
Well, and I think it helps prevent burnout, right?
Does.
Because if you're always hearing about the failures and the mistakes and the crimes and all the negativity, then it's easy to get burned out.
Oh, sure it is.
And, as you said in the beginning, we all kind of need to work together. And I think we have to help each other stay inspired as we do the work together.
Absolutely.
So if people want to learn more about Brandi's legacy, I know you're on Facebook, right?
We are.
Okay.
We also have our website, which is www.landofgoshenTreatmentCenter.org.
That's a little bit long. So landofgoshenTreatmentCenter.org.
It is,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Our marketing director is Tim Kraft, who also is the founder of High on Hope. And so we welcome you to contact him at any time. We want to work with prevention in our communities. We have so many ideas, even in forms of transportation. We're just excited to come together and just let's dream.
Well, we're excited that you're here, and we look forward to working with you and this incredible atmosphere that you've created here at Brandi's Legacy. I think Brandi's watching.
I do too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The 11th Hour, a service of the Washington County Board of Behavioral Health. Tune in next Friday at 11:05 a.m. right here on WMOA for another edition of The 11th Hour.